Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. Push out into the deep waters and let your nets out for a catch, said Jesus. Master, we've been fishing all night and haven't caught even a minnow. But if you say so, I'll let out the nets. And they filled both boats, nearly swamping them with a catch. Put out into the deep. Jesus tells his disciples to set out for deeper water, push off from the shoreline, away from the shallows, further away from that safe, dry land. He tells them to cast off into uncharted waters, to leave the safe harbor, the familiar water's edge. And when they did, their nets were filled to breaking. We are often like those fishermen, comfortable in the safety of the waters that we know, preferring the shallower depths, the safe harbors. And Jesus is telling his disciples, hey, have you looked out that way? Have you considered fishing over there? You keep going to the same fishing spots. What if you went out deeper, checked out the waters over in the middle of the sea? Further out, yes, you have to row further, you have to sail further. Yes, the water is deeper, but have you ever tried that part of the sea? I bet if you do, you'll find a whole new undiscovered catch that will fill your nets to breaking. Jesus invites us to venture out, to dare to try new ways of living out our faith, new ways of expressing our faith, our joy, and our love. He invites us to explore and discover, to dare to expand our fishing grounds and imagine full and bursting nets. What is his message then for us this morning? Maybe it's that we might be more willing to try new methods, different fishing poles, different rods, flies, and baits. One size fits all does not fit. It does not work in fishing, does it? Not all fish are attracted to the same lure, to the same kind of bait. And we are like those fishermen and those fish in many ways. I've been thinking about this church in relation to Jesus' invitation for his disciples, or his direction to go deeper. And it made me think about this congregation. So we have how many people who have joined us, who have been attending regularly just in the last two years, within the last 2 years? Fewer than 5, by my guessing. Most of you grew up here in this town and in this church, and you sat in your family's pews, and some of you still do. And you sang in the choir, and you played bells, and you went to Sunday school and confirmation. You've married, you raised your children here, and for some of you, your grandchildren are here. And that's a wonderful legacy, a shared common experience and history. It's valuable, and it's an important collective memory. It's a story that many people would appreciate and envy, and what a blessing that is. And I would guess that those of you who didn't grow up in this church but attended other churches or other denominations might find much here at this church to be familiar to you. The music may be familiar, the rituals may be similar, and it feels good, doesn't it? Like a warm blanket, an old cozy sweater. And I would venture to say that if I unearthed Sunday morning bulletins from those olden days, and you know I can because I know where the boxes are, that we would find there's little difference in today's service from those of days gone by. We have much the same order of worship. We sing the same Gloria Patri and doxology every week, and most of us don't know the words, need the words or the music, because we know them by heart. And we usually sing from the chancel hymnal, hymns written more than a century or two ago, unless I digress and I venture into the UCC hymnal called the New Century Hymnal. Interesting name, that. I never really focused on the name of that. New Century, or the Faith We Sing. We remember those long ago days, and sometimes we long for them. Those good old days when going to church on a Sunday morning was expected, and it was the norm for the majority of the population. And it's clear that times today have changed, haven't they? How much have we? I met someone this week, and in sharing our stories, I discovered that this person had never been to a church before, never been to a service before. Church and what we do is completely new and a foreign experience. And another someone told me this week when I met with them that they thought church is sitting and reading the book with lots of rules and judgment. Even maybe a place where they're told how bad they are. And that breaks my heart. But it makes sense, doesn't it? If church and its language and rituals are not part of your life, if you've not grown up with that, what would you imagine it to be? What kind of stories do people hear about church and church people? If that is what the unchurched people think church is, why would they ever dare to open the door? It really made me wonder. It means that it's more important than ever that the stories that are told, the experiences of church that are shared, the messages that we send out, that the story is our own, the real story. Sailing out into deeper waters means we change how and where and when we fish. It means our focus and our energy changes not from counting how many people are sitting in the pews, but how many people are we serving Monday through Saturday, and where and how. We can't hope that people will just fall in the door, like fish will just jump in the boat. What if we found really meaningful ways to leave the sanctuary and go out into the deeper water? To go out of the church and meet people where they are, not with the hope that they'll follow us back, but with the intent that the work we do will make a difference and that it'll be life-giving. What if we found ways to go out into the community and listen and learn and discover what the needs are? Who are the hungry? Where are the sick? Who is the lost? And how can we be Jesus to them? This Tuesday, Reverend Ross Johnson from the Methodist Church and Liz and I are going to go around town to the woods, to places where the homeless gather, and we're going to hand out bag lunches. It's a way to let them know who we are and where we are and that we care. It's a start. Feeding a few hungry and being willing to listen more deeply. Jesus is telling us we need to listen, not just to follow, but to imitate him, to embody him. And we need to trust God more and be willing to let go of our death grip on the familiar in order to have a hand open to reach out to those who need to come into the boat. If we're willing to reach out a hand in welcome, in acceptance, in love, there just might be somebody waiting to grab hold. Someone treading water, someone trying to keep their head above water, somebody needing a rescue. And if our grip on yesterday or our history or where we've been, no matter how wonderful it was, is so tight that we can't extend our hand in welcome, our nets and our boats, our works will be empty. I'm not a great swimmer, and I really don't enjoy fishing. I like to be able to touch the bottom and keep my head above the water and be safe. And I'm probably not alone in that. But together, let's dare to be the people and the church that God calls us to be. Let's dare to hear the still speaking God. We only have to be willing to turn in his direction and heed his call and go out into the deep. Is it uncomfortable? Maybe. Is it unfamiliar? Probably. Is it the gospel? Yes. The water is wide, and so is God's love and reach. The water is deep, but so is the Spirit. And the water is life-giving, so is the Creator. So together, let's be bold in our fishing. Let's dare to venture out in new ways to live the gospel and reach an open hand to the future. Let's cast our nets into the deep and be ready to extend a warm welcome to the seeking, the lost, the left behind, and the least. Let the story of our church be one of new life, positive, happy energy, and acceptance and grace. And let our faith be bold and demonstrate God's love in new ways. Let us show ourselves to be Christians that will be recognized by our holy works, our genuine welcome, and our radical love in action. And let this be holy ground that promises safety and security and sanctuary. Let us shine our light into those deep, dark waters and be that bold beacon that invites people to new life. Let's be the gospel of Jesus, embodying his Christness and welcoming all to find their home here and experience his love and his grace. And together, write the new story. May it be so. Amen.